Fear often prevents us from moving forward and doing what we know in our hearts will benefit us in the long run. It can be debilitating.
However, the truth is, waiting for fear to subside is a trap. In this episode, we're going to reveal what the antidote to fear really is.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. How are you all doing out there?
So today we are talking about something I'm sure we can all relate to, and that is the terrible decision paralysis that can come with fear. You know, when we know we want to grow or move in a certain direction, but for some reason we just let that fear build up and stop us making those first steps. So we're going to be talking about that and what you can do to overcome it.
Yes, so actually we're going to dive straight in here because let's talk a little bit about what you're up to this week.
I was going to chat.
Yes.
I won't think we're going to dive straight in.
No,
I'm
we
going to have a
are
little
not.
chat first.
I was thinking, what have we been up to this week? I thought, actually, we haven't really been up to much, but we have been. You've been
haven't been up to much. One of us has been on a helicopter ride across London.
Oh, I have.
Oh, obviously memorable for you, Claire.
Do you know what? It feels about 3 million years ago, and it was only 2 days ago. It's been quite a hectic week this week, but yes. That is true. I went on a lovely, amazing helicopter ride across London. The weather was incredible for that. We've waited 2 years to go on it because of COVID. It was a birthday present to my dad and myself, and we've been waiting for 2 years to actually make it happen. And it finally happened. And the weather has been so awful this summer. Actually, I'm so glad we waited because the sun came out and we went down the River Thames and saw everything from an aerial perspective, and it was really, really lovely as we left you, Lola and my mum on the ground.
I know, but you got some stunning photos, didn't you? Check out Claire's Facebook page if you want to see those photos of London from the air. Really
absolutely
good.
Stunning.
And then I've been running my Rise Midlife Men's Challenge. This is like a 4-day challenge, and I'm just blown away, actually. It's been amazing to see the response from the guys in there, kind of just getting stuck into the exercises and workshops, the sharing. It's been incredible. We've still got another day to go tomorrow, and then we'll be finishing up at the weekend with a little bonus section. But it's been amazing. If you didn't make it this time, just don't miss the next one is all I can say. I'm not sure when it will be, but people have already said they're just getting so many insights and learnings from it. So I'm really happy with how that's going.
And also, obviously, from my perspective, I know I said this in the last podcast, but this is before it actually happened. It's so overwhelming to see. I mean, obviously, I don't want to get involved because it's James's program, and also I want it to feel like a really safe space for all the men to share. So I haven't, he's been getting up at 6:30 in the morning, doing his little lives. Doing what he's, but I can see like how much it's lighting James up to help these men, and I can see, I'm hearing a little bit about the response that James is getting to it, and what I love as well is so many women are coming forward and saying, I shared it, and I know someone that's on it, and again, I don't ask questions, I don't know who they are, but this person's on it, they've signed up, so I'm getting feedback from women about the men that they've got to join this challenge, and they're just saying that they're loving it, and these guys are loving it. And it's, we do know that it's really, really difficult for guys to connect and share around their health and happiness and some of the stuff that's holding them back, some of the stuff that's really stressing them.
Their feelings and emotions.
So I can't actually put into words, which is unlike me, I can't put into words what it's like to see through via James just the response that he's getting, because it is important work. I'm so incredibly proud that I have a man in my life that does this kind of thing completely from the heart. He's doing this all for free because it's his passion to help as many men as possible have that connection, have that outlet to be able to talk in a safe space. And it's phenomenal. And I know James is going to be doing more of this kind of stuff specifically for midlife men. So this is a public big up to my husband, Mr. D, because it's he's shining more than ever, and I know in turn he inspires other people to shine. So
thank you, darling. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
There we are. Sorry, a little moment there.
And I'm a bit overwhelmed, but it kind of links to this podcast, I guess, because I kind of really wanted to do this for a long time, and then I got stuck with getting going with it. Until
the
I
RISE
finally,
program, you mean?
basically, we're going to talk about tips and tricks. The way I personally overcame it was basically like setting myself a deadline for when I was going to launch it, and then that made me get my arse in gear and get everything together in time to get it out there into the world. But yeah, I suffered from a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about in this podcast today.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What were some of your fears around? I know that's quite a vulnerable thing to ask you, but I haven't. This is all of these, by the way, all these podcasts are pretty much off the cuff. So I just wanted to ask James and put him on the spot without making him feel too uncomfortable. What were some of the fears around launching the program?
Oh, you've kind of sprung that on me there, Claire. I guess that I was conscious of wanting to deliver real value, but in a way that I knew people would be accessible, so it wouldn't take up a lot of time. A lot of the inner work we do is quite in depth, but I wanted to give people tools that would allow them to tap that, but not take up too much time, so everyone's busy. So I guess I was afraid it was like a long time choosing the right tools to put in, the right experiences to put in. Of course, you've got doubts about how people will respond to it. You're thinking, I put it out there, will anyone even sign up to the challenge? Or will people come in and then go, oh, I don't like it? But all those things we're going to talk about, I guess it touches on, this is a basic thing. It touches on, whenever we start something new, you're touching one of the biggest human vulnerabilities is that fear of rejection, right? Because back in our evolution times, if you were rejected, if you were ostracized by the tribe, that meant almost certain death in those days, when we were very isolated, small communities, harsh environment, dangerous animals, other tribes that wanted to kill you. If you're cast out, it's pretty much certain death, or certainly life will be very unpleasant for you, which is why we're deeply wired to be conformist and want to be accepted. So I guess if you asked me something, fear of rejection, but just fear of getting things not quite right. But I'm so pleased with the way it's going. So
I applaud you for saying that, because actually I was hoping, not that I was pushing or projecting, we've talked about projection before in relationships. I was projecting, I was thinking, I hope he goes deeper than that. I hope he goes deeper than just wondering whether it was the right stuff he was sending out. And actually you did, because you're a phenomenal human being. And going into that place of, it's a fear of rejection. And I think that is something that, you don't wake up one morning and go, oh, I'm okay putting myself out there. It is only, this is where we're going to kind of go straight into this, it's actually only through stepping forward into action. So here's the whole kind of premise around this podcast is the antidote to fear is action.
Boom.
So actually...
Mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop. We can't just sit there hoping that fear will subside and that you will wake up one morning and just have the confidence and the self-belief to put yourself out there. Or it could be with anything. It could be writing the book. It could be going on that date. It could be putting your boundaries down to people at work. It could be going for a promotion. It could be anything, going to the gym. So you don't just wake up and think, oh, it's all okay, I can move forward with that now. It only happens through taking little steps and moving into action. That is the antidote to fear.
Exactly. And listen, it's not to say, we're all going to experience fear, anxiety, doubts when we're doing something new, when we're attempting to grow. And it's important to recognise that, not just try and shrug it off. Feel the fear and do it anyway, is
one
the
of my
saying.
favourite books.
Yeah, because it's human nature, right? You're going to have doubts. Anytime we do anything new or we attempt to grow, you're going to have doubts, and it comes back to your old subconscious trying to keep you safe by keeping you trapped in the familiar. We have that fear, don't we, of oh, don't do that, don't put yourself out there. What if people ridicule you? What if you make a mistake? What if it's just like public humiliation? These are all tied back to rejection. These are all tied to like things that would lead to you being ostracized by the tribe. So it's really important what Claire says. You can't just wake up and go, oh, I'm going to do that. Some people can, but they're very rare. You're going to have to think about it and process it. And what can happen is, for many of us, me included, is you get caught up in like, you know, I know I want to do it. I know I've got to do it, but I'm not quite ready. So a really common thing, I'm sure many of you relate to, is this thing of what I call information paralysis, right? It's that if I just research one more thing, or if I just look up one more thing, or one little extra bit of information, this can play out in so many ways. You know, people who want to learn something, so they're just like, oh, one more course, one more qualification.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I was about to say that.
I stole your thunder.
You did. Yeah, because I used to do that. You know, I became a coach when I was 23, which was really, really young. A life coach. I qualified to be a life coach when I was 23. And obviously, at 23, you know, I do believe that there are old souls in young bodies, absolutely. And I do feel like by that point, I can't explain it, but I felt like I was ready, actually, to dive into all of that. But potentially I wasn't, because I didn't do anything with it at the time for a number of years, but I kept doing more qualifications because I felt like that imposter. We've done a whole thing on imposter syndrome, but I kept thinking, oh, if I do that one, then people will take me seriously, and then I'll be ready. But it was all just that fear base of rejection, and exactly like James said, it's that complete fear that people are going to say, hang on a minute, who are you? You're crap, get out of here. So we all have it, and the only way we've ever got over it and have ever seen any of our wonderful clients get over it is through taking steps forward with the right support and with the right cheerleading squad. It all helps, but just sitting there waiting for that fear to go, you'll be sitting there forever. It's an absolute lie that you'll be able to diminish it just by thinking your way out of it. You have to start taking action. And we put this on our Instagram account last night, actually. We actually had this lineup, you know, the only way through fear, the antidote to fear is action. And someone, I love this, kind of challenged it underneath and said, actually, sitting there in stillness is also a way of moving in action and moving through fear. And I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of get where you're coming from. I love it when people give different perspectives, obviously, because it makes me think. And I thought, yeah, absolutely. There is, you know, sometimes we can bulldoze our way through fear almost too much without necessarily sitting with our feelings. So there is, as with everything, the light, the dark, a perfect balance. So, you know, bulldozing your way through fear because you don't want to actually sit with your feelings as well is the flip side of that.
I was going to come back to that. So this subject is great because it touches on so many other podcasts that we've done. So, you know, the inner critic and imposter syndrome, procrastination, all these things, right? They're all basically the same thing. It's ways of us not taking action in the direction of our goals, which is fear masquerading as other things. You know, why do we procrastinate? Why do we go and research a bit more? Why do we put off? Well, because we're scared. We're scared of taking that step. Why do we let the inner critic talk us out of it? Because we're scared of taking that first step. These are all things. And there is a point to stillness, right? What we don't want to do is take ill-considered action, like blind panic action.
Yes.
But here's what I want you to understand. Unquestionably, the first step you take is going to be a faltering step because you're doing something new. It is going to be unsure. You're not going to be sure if it's right. You might even get it completely wrong. But what matters is you've taken that step. And here's the thing: is like I said this the other day. We always like to think in our heads. Human beings are programmed so amazingly. We think success is linear. You know, like, oh, if I start on that path, that's the path, and I'll do it. X will lead to Y, will lead to Z. There's not the way it goes. Oh, you can start on the path, but the path might take a completely different turn, and you might end up somewhere else. Life has a funny way of playing out. But what's important is that you keep that momentum. And of course, to have momentum, you've got to start moving in the first place. Perfectionism with other podcasts. So perfectionism is another form of your fear masquerading. It's like,
I have no idea what that's like to be a
everything has
perfectionist.
to be perfect, or else everyone's gonna like ridicule me.
That was 100% me when we first got together. It used to drive James Absolutely. We actually went out to dinner. We went to dinner last night with some lovely clients of ours,
We did.
actually. Lovely clients of ours.
Beautiful evening.
Went round there, had dinner, and we were talking about this. And I said it used to drive, because they work together as a couple, and it is it's a unique relationship to be able to work together. We have so many people go, how on earth do you work together? But it works now. It didn't so much at the beginning, because we did have different styles of working, and perfectionism was definitely masking my fear of being seen, being vulnerable, and failing, and being ridiculed.
So, not ill-considered action, but action. And I think it was General Patton that said, like, a good plan forcefully executed today is better than the perfect plan like executed at some point down the line. Which basically means if you've got something that looks good now, just go for it and do it, execute it with force and confidence, because it's going to get you there rather than waiting for that perfect moment. And this overlaps into that whole have, do, be, do, have as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I know that's really hard for a lot of you to hear, potentially, that just execute the plan now. And honestly, I can't say with more compassion I get that, because it is when you want something really, really badly and you are putting it out there into the world, or you're going out there in the world, you put so much pressure on yourself. And that is honestly something that I did all the time. And perfectionism was my mask. It was my hiding place to not put myself out there. But in the last few years, I've really, really overcome that to such great rewards. It's been so beneficial for me to be vulnerable and be outside my comfort zone and just get stuff out there. I can't tell you the release and the freedom I feel now just to put stuff out there.
I know.
And you've seen that.
I have seen that, and it's a beautiful thing to see, an experience to be part of. I was going to say it as well, like, sometimes we don't start because the actual goal can feel just too big, too overwhelming, or we think, it might not even be possible for us. There's two things I'd say on that. Is, the old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. If you wanted to build a massive house, that might seem like a huge project, but actually, how do you build it? Brick by brick. And that comes from our dinner last night. Brick by brick.
Oh, it does.
And before you know it, 1 brick, 2 brick. Before you know it, you've got 100 bricks. Before you know it, you have a house.
Yes, it cultivates over time.
It does indeed.
Doesn't it? So we've got two forms of action.
We have. So we want to explain this. So we've already said, like, just don't take, like, panicked action. Definitely not.
I've done that as well before.
Haven't we all? Haven't we all? And that is actually another form of fear, right? I'm doing this thing, but I'm going to do some wholly inappropriate action, which is basically just a form of numbing what I'm feeling. Numbing what I'm feeling, or self-sabotaging. So we want to take, like, considered action. Like we say, we don't have to know that it's definitely right, but we can, like, basically, if we consider options, go, this feels like a great way to start. I'm now going to execute on it. Because, like, where we get held up is, like, this feels like a great way to start, but I'm not sure, so maybe I won't start. No. Once you've got that first step, do it.
So we're going to go into two forms of action. So there is action that is specifically aimed at getting you towards a goal.
Direct action.
So that is called direct action. The second is
energetic action.
Energetic action, which is actually an action that isn't necessarily exactly directly related to the goal you're going for, but it's a kind of thing that someone that is going for that goal would do. And we're going to go into an explanation of that, aren't we?
We are. So direct action, I think, is fairly self-explanatory. If you're doing nothing right now and you wanted to run, like, be able to run 5k in the next, like, 2 or 3 months, you probably sign up to the Couch to 5k program, start with, like, gentle dogs, gradually increase the time. That is direct action. You are learning how to run 5k, right? So we can understand that concept, taking action that is directly related to your goal. And of course, that's what you want to do. That wants to be the mainstay. So that is strategy 1. Strategy 2, though, is more interesting. It's what we call energetic action.
I love this. We do
this. Aligned action, which is where you think, what is my goal? What would someone who's achieved my goal, how would they behave? What values would they embody? What kind of things would they do? So maybe in that Couch 5k example, you're getting up off the couch and doing your walks and your runs and extending the speed and the distance. But what else might you do? Someone who's training to get fit to run, they might start looking after their diet a bit more. They might start
buying new
trainers,
clothes, or buying new clothes, and actually looking at the wardrobe thinking, do all of those black clothes really suit the person that I'm becoming? Maybe I'm going to add a pop of colour in there.
Let's give you another example. So one we can wait to like a financial one. So you might be like, I want to generate more abundance in my life. I want to be more wealthy. So then it's changing your thought pattern. So rather than going out and you see that amazing outfit in the window or whatever, and you're like, oh, I can't afford that. Change it to like, how can I afford that? How would someone that could afford it, how would they create the wealth to afford that thing, and start behaving in that way?
I'll give you another example as well. It's kind of like upgrading elements of your life as well. So it's not just, for example, I'll give you an example potentially of someone that is going about writing a book. So what would someone that has written half a book, what kind of person would they be showing up as soon as they got up out of bed? So this person, it's about looking after yourself. So it's about being a really powerful force and actually making sure that everything is really controlled, really in your power, everything is feeling good. So it might be that someone like that gets up in the morning, they move their body. But first of all, they make their bed. They're the sort of person that looks after themselves. They take time over putting some nice moisturiser on. They look after themselves. They dress in nicer clothes. They put, for women, it's actually like washing your hair, drying your hair, making yourself feel nice. It's not like slobbering around writing your book in gym wear. It's actually, it goes into every element of your life. So this is kind of aligned energetic action. It's the things that person would do. So are they reading a great book about something inspiring? Are they going for a walk in nature? Are they meditating? What is that person starting to become? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're embodying energetic and aligned action, basically embodying the values and the actions of someone that has already achieved your goal. So you're becoming that person already. And what I can tell you from experience, when you do this in parallel with direct action, it really starts to turbocharge your results.
I'll give you another example, like taking up a hobby. So is that person someone that might go out and join a dance class? Are they someone that might start doing meditation classes? Is that person someone that would meet a group and go for hikes? It's these sorts of things that would actually expand your awareness, expand your sense of self and your creativity to help with the action that's direct at your goal as well. So it's all these little elements that start opening you up, making you feel a fuller, more evolved person that makes the direct action more powerful.
Yeah, and I'm going to just share a really interesting example of this that I've actually had this week. So those of you that like The Secret and that kind of approach and putting energy out into the universe, so we want to grow. We're thankful for all our listeners and like how well we're rated in our reviews and all of you that message us. It's amazing. But of course, we want to grow the podcast audience. We're like, okay, we want to reach out to other people that are podcasting and reaching midlife audiences. We talk about this for a while, but we haven't done it. Again, why haven't I done it? Why haven't I reached out? Because I fear rejection. I fear that, no, I'm not interested. No, I'm not interested. So I just put my ego aside and my fear of rejection and basically asked in a nice way, explain the benefits for the other show, for us, for the listeners, of why we should collaborate, and sent out a load of emails. Of course, some haven't replied, some say no, doesn't matter. A load of people have said yes. Of course, that's an example of direct action. But what's really interesting is I've suddenly had people that I haven't contacted reaching out to me going, would you like to be on our podcast?
It's the energy.
So that's a really clear example to me of the energy you're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even to a degree from my experience, I went on my retreat that I've talked about nearly a month ago now. That was kind of energetic action. It wasn't direct action with regards to how I wanted to expand the business. I've got a goal around the business always. We're really, really ambitious. We want to reach as many midlifers and help them become the fullest version of themselves. That's what we want to do. That's our purpose and our passion. But I knew actually, but by growing myself and expanding my own sense of self and my own connection with, it was a shamanic retreat. I really wanted to go on it, and I knew that doing that for myself and reconnecting with nature and doing something that was just for me, not for anyone else, not work, not James, not anyone else. I knew that energetic action that wasn't necessarily aligned to the business was going to help the business. And it massively has. Like, massively has. I can't actually begin to tell you how much that has positively impacted the work I do one-to-one with my female clients, but also the business as a whole. I think that's why we're getting lots of opportunities in. Yeah. Loads of opportunities in, because we're taking, both of us individually are taking energetic action. Yeah. Upgrading our mindset, upgrading our soul and our spirit.
So, we would like to leave you with some homework, which is, if you have a goal that you've been putting off, just take that first step of direct action. Just do it. Just do it. But the big challenge we're laying down is start taking energetic action as well. And
that makes you feel good.
That makes you feel good. And we'd love to hear about it, as always. So if you haven't already, join our Midlife Mentors community on Facebook. I think we're over 400 people in now, which is amazing.
Oh, I think we're about one per... Actually, no, I think today we hit 400, so I need to do a little whoop whoop in the Facebook group around that.
And you can contact us at team@the-Midlife Mentors. We would love to hear from you, and we hear from so many of you all the time. So
please do share as well and rate us. Well, of course, but the more people we can reach, the better. So thank you as always, and we are sending you an enormous amount of love. Take care.
Till next time. Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.